Many families saw their loved one become overly affectionate towards strange things long before they suspected anything was wrong. It looked sweet at first, but that intense love turned out to be the brain misfiring. These sudden emotional fixations are one of the most overlooked early signs of dementia. In this video, you'll discover 7 disturbing loves that reveal the brain was already in decline. If you notice these changes, don't dismiss them. You may have a small window to act and protect your loved one's future. Let's begin. Number 1. Sudden crush on someone close. Donna, 67, had always been private about her emotions and rarely showed affection outside her marriage. But after her hip surgery, about 2 years before Alzheimer's diagnosis, her daughter noticed a strange shift. She began complimenting her physical therapist in unusually personal ways, saying he was the only man who truly understands me. At first, her daughter laughed it off as post-anesthesia confusion, but Donna's behavior grew more intense. She told her friend that she was madly in love with her own son-in-law and once tried to hold his hand during dinner. The family became alarmed when she started applying heavy makeup before routine checkups and left a handwritten note in her nurse's bag that read, "You're the one I've been waiting for." That was the week her family explained to her doctor what was happening. Experts confirm that inappropriate affection or romantic fixations often stem from damage to the brain's frontal lobe, which controls impulse regulation and social boundaries. These behaviors aren't genuine feelings of love. They're disinhibition and emotional confusion caused by early neurodegeneration. Because they seem lighthearted or flattering at first, families often overlook them until they become distressing or socially disruptive. Number 2. Emotional bond with a stuffed animal or doll. Gene, 75, had never been sentimental. He was a retired mechanic who preferred tools over toys and rarely showed emotion. But a few months after his wife passed, his daughter noticed him clutching a small teddy bear one of the grandkids had left behind. She thought it was just grief, but then Gene began talking to the bear, calling it Lulu, and insisting it needed its own dinner plate. He even made space for it on the couch and became agitated if anyone moved it. The final breaking point came when he refused to leave the house without Lulu wrapped in a scarf, whispering to it in public and telling people she gets scared outside. His daughter managed to get him in to see his doctor that month, and a neurologist confirmed he was in the early stages of Lewy body dementia. Studies show that some dementia patients form intense emotional attachments to dolls or stuffed animals due to declining judgment and emotional regulation. As parts of the brain responsible for memory, empathy, and reasoning begin to fail, the person may redirect affection toward comforting but unrealistic figures. It's not childish play. It's a neurological response to confusion, loneliness, and emotional loss, often one of the first signs the brain is breaking down. Number 3. Intense attachment to animals they used to dislike. Betsy, 81, had never been fond of animals. She spent decades avoiding her neighbor's dogs and once said the sound of a cat's meow made her nervous. So when her son brought home a rescue kitten, no one expected Betsy to go near it. But just days later, Betsy was calling the kitten "my sweet little angel" and feeding it from a spoon at the dinner table. Then Betsy started canceling outings to stay home with the cat, saying, "She panics when I'm gone." She insisted the cat understood her better than her own children. When she locked herself in her room for hours, rocking the cat and whispering, "You're all I have left," over and over, her son realized this wasn't just loneliness. He brought Betsy in for an evaluation later that month, and the result confirmed Alzheimer's. Neurologists warn that sudden emotional attachments, especially to a pet they never liked before, can be a red flag for early dementia. As the brain's emotional control and judgment centers weaken, the person may form deep connections with pets to soothe anxiety or loneliness. This isn't just grief or healing, it's often the brain seeking comfort in simple, nonverbal relationships as social understanding begins to fail. Behind every one of those cases is a family, watching someone change in ways they can't explain. It rarely starts with forgetting names or getting lost. More often, the first clues show up in reactions that feel sweet at first, in moments that just seem harmless. But once you see these signs, you start realizing how long they've been there. Let's keep going. Number 4. Sudden devotion to a specific place. Joseph, 72, was a retired trucker who had driven across nearly every state, never staying anywhere too long. But after moving in with his son just a year before his vascular dementia diagnosis, his family noticed him spending hours each day sitting on the bench near their mailbox. He said it helped him think, but soon he was refusing to eat until he'd checked in at the bench. He told the neighbors it was where everything makes sense and became angry if anyone else sat there. His son once found him out there at 2 a.m., talking to the darkness and guarding the bench, saying it was keeping him safe. That was the day he called the doctor for help and later admitted he wished he had acted sooner. Findings suggest that sudden emotional fixation on a place, especially an ordinary one, can point to early dementia. As spatial memory and reasoning decline, the brain sometimes anchors itself to a specific location that feels familiar or controllable. It's not about the place itself, it's about the brain searching for stability while other systems begin to fail. These behaviors often look harmless at first, but they signal deeper confusion. Number 5. Talking to old photos as if they're alive. About 3 years before Judy, 77, was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. Her husband noticed Judy was spending more and more time just sitting in front of the photos, sometimes murmuring to them. At first, it seemed like harmless reminiscing. Then Judy began saying things like, "I already told him that yesterday," while pointing to a framed picture of her late father. She started setting out a second teacup across from her during breakfast and said her sister, gone for over a decade, was coming by later. Her husband once overheard her having a one-sided argument with an old wedding photo, repeating, "Don't start with me again." That moment shattered the illusion that it was just nostalgia, and the family finally brought her in for evaluation. The diagnosis confirmed what they had been dreading. Researchers explain that when people with dementia talk to photos as if they're real, it often reflects the brain's blurring of memory, time, and reality. As judgment and logic break down, they may respond emotionally to images as if those people are physically present. These aren't just memory lapses, they're signs that the brain's grip on what's real is starting to slip, often years before full memory loss sets in. Number 6. Falling in love with a stranger on TV. When Liam was 68, his wife noticed he'd become unusually attached to a local news anchor. He never missed her broadcasts, sat unusually close to the screen, and once corrected someone who mispronounced her name. At first, it seemed like a harmless crush, but then he began referring to her as "my girl," told neighbors they were in a relationship, and even thanked his wife for understanding about it. The breaking point came when he started leaving snacks in front of the TV before her show aired, and once got dressed in a saying he had a date with her tonight. That moment finally pushed his wife to admit something deeper was seriously wrong, and she booked a neurological exam the next day. Liam was diagnosed with Alzheimer's later that month. A major study indicates that delusional attachments to public figures, especially people on TV, can be an early sign of dementia, often driven by declining judgment and reality perception. As the brain loses its ability to separate real from imagined relationships, the person may form emotional bonds with familiar media faces. It's not romantic fantasy. It's the brain misinterpreting routine exposure as genuine connection. One of the first signs reasoning is starting to fail. Number 7. Strange affection for a voice or sound. Around 2 years before Anna was diagnosed with mixed dementia at age 74, her daughter noticed she had become strangely attached to the sound of the dishwasher. She'd sit in the kitchen for its entire cycle, eyes closed, humming along with the rhythm. Her daughter smiled and brushed it aside as nothing for a while. But over time, Anna started turning it on repeatedly, even when it was empty, saying the sound helped her move faster. She once told a visitor that the dishwasher was singing her a beautiful song. One evening, her daughter came home and found Anna banging her head against the machine, shouting, "Why won't you talk to me anymore?" That was the month her daughter took her in for a neurological exam. Data show that fixation on repetitive or comforting sounds may signal early dementia, particularly in cases affecting auditory processing and emotional regulation. As the brain struggles to interpret its environment, certain rhythmic noises can feel safe, familiar, or meaningful. These aren't just quirks. They're signs the brain is misfiring and reality is beginning to shift. These loves seemed sweet at first, but for families who saw them up close, they were all the brain's early cry for help. If someone you care about is forming strange attachments, you need to pay attention, because there may be only a short time before the damage becomes permanent.